joining us right now, and I almost feel like I shouldn't say this, but I have to say this. I mean, how am I not going to say it, right? Bond. James Bond. I can't not say it. Sorry, James.
I think my parents had a sense of humor, but that's another story. I'm the real James Bond.
Yes, good morning, James. How you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, good.
Of course, you have a bigger thing because tomorrow you got 2 birthdays, right?
I do.
It's your wife and your daughter. She's 19, the big 19.
Yes.
If it was 3, it would be a trifecta. So if it's 2, it's a difecta. Does that mean you'll die if you forget their birthday?
Well, I die going into it because their birthdays are 5 days after tax day. So it's like I'm just like I just don't have any money left. So we celebrate at their half birthdays in October when there's actually some cash. No, we don't. They get everything. They're very good. Yeah, so
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of my wife and daughter's birthday, I guess that takes us right to your book, The Secret Life of Fathers.
Huh?
How perfect. What a segue there.
There you go.
It's almost like we've done this before.
Yeah, many times.
Oh, we have. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's discuss this. The secret life of fathers.
I have a son and 3 daughters. Okay. My middle daughter, when she was 22, I heard this story about how kids were mean to her when she was really young. Actually, my older son, my son and my older daughter, when she was 6 years old, we lived we're renting a house against a baseball field.
Okay.
And so they had a 6-foot fence, and it's dusk, so the lights for the baseball field are shining on our yard. And my son and my older daughter are calling Lauren, my middle daughter, 6 years old, into the backyard to look through a crack in the fence at something that's going on in the baseball field. And it's a packed baseball field with all Little League. I said, Lauren, you got to see this. You got to see this. And she goes, no, I don't want to see this. She says, no, you got to come out and see this. She says, no, I just took a shower. She said, don't worry about it. Just take a second. You got to come out and see this. So she goes out into the backyard with a towel on, goes up to the fence. They rip the towel off.
Oh, no.
They shove her onto the baseball field.
Oh, no.
And then they close the fence. And so here's a field packed with Little Leaguers and parents. And
Whoa.
She's knocking on the fence. Let me back in. They wouldn't let her back in. She had to walk naked all the way around the baseball field and around to the front to come into the house.
Oh, my God. And how old was she?
6.
Oh. And who did this to her?
Her older brother.
Her older brother. That's what I was going to say. That's her. Oh, man. Oh.
So I heard this. Yeah. I heard this when she's 22. And so her older sister, Morgan, was telling the story. And at first, I don't know what was going through my mind, just clueless. And it sounded really funny. Oh. So we're at a family get-together, and I said, tell me what you did to Lauren when she was 6. So she starts telling the story, and then I start realizing, this isn't funny. This is really mean.
Yeah.
And she's 6 years old. I mean, think of the effect that it has for her whole life, something that happens.
I'll bet she doesn't like baseball. I'll tell you right now.
That's what it is. I didn't even think of that. But so I sent her an email, and I sent Lauren an email when she was 22, and I said, I heard about what they did to you when you were 6, and I feel really bad. And I realized you were the quiet one. And, my oldest daughter is a type A, so she was always there, Mm-hmm. But Lauren was the quiet one. And I was there for soccer and all that stuff, but I never got to know her. And so I'm telling her in the email, I never got to know you. I feel really bad. If this happened to you, what else happened to you, while you're growing up? Mm. And she sends me an email back, and she says, I've been waiting my whole life to hear this.
Wow.
And I thought I was a pretty good dad.
Yeah.
And I realized, I was clueless. And so I was wondering, after I picked myself up off the floor, what was I doing wrong? And so I figured, I don't know, I got this crazy idea. Why don't I interview other dads of daughters? Why don't I just advertise on the internet and everywhere else I can and put them up on bulletin boards and say, if you're a dad of a daughter, would you be willing to be interviewed on a 2-hour call? And I asked pretty tough questions. And I ended up getting 101 dads of daughters. I have no idea what I was thinking, but I figured, well, let me just see what happens. Maybe I could learn how to be a better dad.
And did you learn how to be a better dad from this?
A little bit. I'm still a dad in training, so I don't, But what I found was these guys started telling me. So I got a 9/11 fireman. I got an ex-drug dealer. This guy who said, he was holding his baby in his arms, and then he realized that, she's looking at him. It's like she had a son and a daughter, and the daughter would always be looking at him, not like the son who would play with toys and whatever else. And he realized this girl's looking at me, and when she grows up, she's going to be ashamed of her father. And so he decided that he's going to give up drugs and go to work for his dad because he didn't want his daughter to be ashamed of him.
Wow. These are interesting stories, I'm sure. One of the most powerful attorneys in the country who basically said that he's one of the founders of the HMO industry. And he's one of these guys that people are afraid of when he goes to work. And he said, there's nothing more humbling than a 3-year-old with her hands on her hips saying, "You are a mean daddy." And he looks at her and says, little miss, you do not talk to your father like that. He said, I'm going to talk to you because somebody needs to tell you what a mean person you are. And he said, it's amazing that before I had a daughter, I was just a real, SOB. I never cared about anybody. And suddenly when I have my daughter, I care about what she thinks of me. And it just, as these guys started telling me the stories, I started understanding parts of myself also, Man, this turned into one little incident in the ballpark turned into all this. How about that, James? Jeez.
The power of a daughter. Well, you should know.
Yes, yeah, no. You should have called me. I would have given you 2 hours.
So do you recommend having kids?
I needed it.
Yeah. What's that?
Well, do you recommend having kids?
More than 2 hours. I had 200 hours, so I needed more than 2 hours.
Well,
I'm still learning.
Yeah, you got my number. Give me a call. So this is thefatherdaughterproject.com, right? You can find it there. And The Secret Life of Fathers.
Yeah, and we've got videos on the site, so you can actually, if somebody goes to the site, they can scroll down. We've got the sex talk, Did you do the sex talk with your daughter? Exactly.
Man. Did you?
No, I think I was so glad the school did it, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty left that to my wife. I tried with my son.
Uh-huh.
And that was because I tried to be like, okay, dad guy. I'm going to be like, here, son. And I went through textbook, the talk, and he said, no. He goes, not that, Dad. He goes, I know that. He goes, tell me about the Cleveland Steamer, the Dirty Sanchez, the good stuff, Dad, the good stuff. I said, no. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I didn't learn much from that talk either.
Yeah. Well, so it's really funny hearing the dads talk about this stuff. Yeah. But I have just, women love this because they go through this. I had this lady who went through this, and she has no connection with her dad. Her dad was just, he was okay, but they didn't have a good connection with her. But she's reading a story about this guy who's struggling to have a connection with his daughter, and the more he talks, the more he doesn't realize, but he always puts down his daughter, and it's just like a speech impediment. It's like a habit. And then when his daughter gets older, she gets sick. She had multiple sclerosis, and he finally had an opportunity to show that he loved her. And so she's reading this, and this one thing that's good about the book. It's interactive. It's got the questions that we ask dads. And so she thought she'd sit and she'd ask her dad some of the questions from the book. And they're pretty powerful questions. Like
what's one of the questions?
If it was the last day on Earth, what would you want to tell your daughter that you've never told her up till now?
Oh, man. Oh yeah. I would have needed more than 2 hours.
How would
last day?
How would your life be different if she was never born?
Whoa.
And of course,
now that could go better or worse, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be.
Well, the money one came up first. I'd have a lot more money.
That's for sure.
But
my daughter just calls me by my bank account name, and she calls me transfer. Dad, can you do another one of those transfer things?
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, so I'm going to get this book and read these questions, and then next time maybe, James, you'll call me when you do the next one, so I can give you a couple hours of my time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so where the book is out, right? People can get the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can get it on Amazon and everything else. But you also go to the website because it's got like the fun videos. So you get a chance to hear dads struggling over talking to their daughters about sex and some other things. You scroll down a bit, you can see all the videos. It's thefatherdaughterproject.com.
Thefatherdaughterproject.com. All right, I want to watch other dads struggle because I think I've been through the struggling process. All right, maybe I'll get it for my daughter for her birthday.
Oh,
here, honey, read this. Now you understand why I'm such a lousy dad.
Yeah. You're not alone, too.
I'm not. I was going to say, I'm not the only one. All right, Bond. James Bond.
Okay.
Always a pleasure. The book, again, The Secret Life of Fathers. Thanks, and I'll expect to hear from you on book 2. Okay,
thank you.
All right, James, have a good one.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
This is the Rude Awakening Show podcast.